Good morning, everybody. We are here. We're ready to go. We're looking good in terms of sunshine outside today. The overall market is getting hit pretty hard, but it's trying its best to bounce back and actually doing a lot better than a lot of people would expect it. Nonetheless, we got Gen G first in the chat. Moji, second alien, Gen G, Moji, alien, Moji, Gen G, alien, Gen G, Moji, Gen G, Gorilla, Moji, alien, all of you guys. So glad to have you in here right now. Let's check the market out, see what's happening so far today. We've got AMC, the top left-hand side of the screen, sitting at $2.77, up 4.53% today. Actually, very nice gain for considering the overall market. GameStop up down 1.66% right now, $23.10. Shiba Inu Coin sitting at 1132. It is up 2.44% since midnight last night. The NASDAQ is down 1.5%. 1.5% decline is a large decline, but nonetheless, it is bouncing back beautifully from the lows that we were seeing earlier, and especially from the, overnight lows that we were seeing as well. So people are buying this dip. AMC up 4.5%. GameStop 1.70% loss. Solana sitting at 105 right now, touching $95 last night at about 2 o'clock in the morning maybe, and back up to 105 right now. 10% gain off of those intraday lows. Dogecoin, same deal, 13 cents to about 15 cents. Shiba Inu Coin, 1,000 points to up to 1,130 points. You've got Ethereum, $1,400 to $1,550. Bitcoin, 74,000 to 78,000. So bouncing off the overnight lows and trying to regain its composure. The SPY down 1.5%. QQQ down 1%. Mullen Auto, 22% decline to an all-time low of 5.70 cents, 6 cents per share in Mullen Auto right now. Sundial down 3.5%. Netflix up on the day today. And Netflix is gaining. I guess, I don't know. Netflix is, they're expecting to make more money in Netflix somehow. Tesla was down 10% earlier, down about 5% right now. Very volatile, going from $214 all the way up to $250. Guys, if you were playing options on Tesla this morning, a move from $214 to $250 it probably would have made you $100,000 on a couple $1,000 play. Insane volatility taking place. Amazon sitting at 171. It's actually up on the day today. Apple down 6%. Apple's getting hit very hard. And Soxel, man, Soxel's volatility has been wild, going from $7 during the early morning session to $11. 50% move back down to 866 at the moment. So extreme volatility in the markets right now as investors are trying to figure out what happens next, what goes on, and of course the tariff narrative. No, tariff narrative, not tariff narrative. What the heck is that? The tariff. It's the tariff narrative. The tariff is taking place right now. $78,000 Bitcoin. We're going to watch it play out in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. And hopefully we get some gains. If we get some more declines, we add some more positions. It's pretty simple when that's all you got going on. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Stay away from memes. You can see I bought some more. I bought Trump coin this morning. We're gonna see how it plays out, right? Let's see. Want to buy the tip a little more? Yes. Bitcoin to 150,000. Let's go. Bitcoin will hit 150. Bitcoin will hit 150 one day. Are we tired of winning yet? JB, I never get tired of winning, man. Yo, Mosif, any fishing in yet? Been getting my boat ready to hit it. I don't have a boat. Yeah, I don't. Dude, boats are a lot of work, though, man. Aren't they? Aren't boats a lot of work? Boats just seem like too much work for me to go out to the lake a couple times of the year. Hope you're right, but not soon. I hope he is right, and I hope it is soon, man. People are talking about AMC. King Richards. Well, I think some people still talk about AMC, man. I still have AMC on the top left-hand side of the screen. It's set on the top left-hand side of the screen, along with GameStop. Do we talk about it that often? No, much more heavily focused on cryptocurrency than we are on AMC. But, yes, I guess we still mention it, as it is sitting on the top left-hand side of the screen right now. Hey, Mo, how you been, fam? Emma D, what is going on? Netflix, Wicked, the 200 and a wick to 200 and rebound, and my Apple put is looking nice. Emma D is making money. Very nice, Emma D. Hello, everyone. Can't talk right now. Coworker is stuck in a well, in a hole. What do we got this coworker stuck in? Clay, talk serious to me. What's going on with the Shiba vid? I'm not about to jump back into the same up and down crap. Will it be legit or not? Which one? Are you talking about the latest Shiba Inu Coin video? Dude, how can you say you can't talk right now, but then you ask me a legit question and expect me to answer the legit question? Yeah, so here's my opinion on meme coins, right? You're seeing a lot of people scorned by the recent losses. You're seeing a lot of people, and this is the same thing that we had to deal with in, 2017 with altcoins falling back down. Anytime things decline, people say they are never going to recover. Now, there is a huge transition in the cryptocurrency space right now from the people that remain moving from meme coins over to utility tokens. And I understand that, right? Utility tokens are less volatile, and when it seems that all is bleak, and when it seems that all is lost, you have to cling on to something. And people are using that utility as something to cling on to. When you are in a greedy situation, people don't care about utility. People don't care about, value. People don't care about fundamentals. People simply care about making money when you're in a greedy situation. So do I think the Shiba Inu coin is dead? No, absolutely not, man. I don't think it's going to die out. I don't think Dogecoin's going to die out. I don't think SHIB's going to die out. Some of the other little meme coins, right? These ones with $1 million market caps, they could die out, right? That's completely acceptable. But the larger names out there, I do not believe will die out. And when people are extremely greedy again, I believe that you will see gains. I believe that you will see it go up. But in a fearful situation, everybody flees the risky assets and they run towards what they view as safer. And utility tokens are being viewed as safer. So you've got guys who have completely left the cryptocurrency market. They've sold their meme coins. They've sold their utility tokens. They say it's done. They say it's over. They say it's never going back up. The exact same thing that they said in 2018. The exact same thing that they said in 2022. The exact same thing that they said in 2008 when the stock market collapsed. The exact same thing that they said when everybody was getting locked down because of the C word. The exact same thing that they said in 2001 when the dot-com bubble burst. Everybody said that it is over and you will never go up from here. Dude, as long as the project doesn't die, it is bound to go up. So when we enter a greedy situation, yeah, Chris, I think that you're going to see some gains in SHIB and other meme coins and of course, utility tokens as well. Depends on the boat. Get a 1922 center console with an outboard. Okay. Doesn't really narrow it down too much. I guess it just narrows it down to size, right? I think it's a great time to buy Tesla. Yeah, dude, Giovanni, would have been a better time to buy Tesla this morning when it was at $200 and moved from $200 to $250 in a matter of minutes. Shiba Inu to Puto. Nufo, man. Glad to have you in here this morning. Okay, bros, off to DC. Be well. Listen to the signals. Don't mind the noise. Absolutely. Alien Head, enjoy your day. Enjoy your flight. Whatever you got going on. Enjoy the travel. And hopefully everything goes well in DC for you. Unicorn Nufo too. Heck yeah. Be safe, Alien Head. Safe travels. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Moji. Faux show. And whatever you got going on in DC, man, hopefully it's very prosperous for you and works out very well. Bitcoin pulling back a little bit right now, guys. We dropped back down below that $78,000 mark to $77,777. This is the jackpot, baby. 777777 right now. Well, I do hope it's a jackpot. I don't know. We're watching it play out in real time. We don't know if it's going up. We don't know if it's going down. But we do know there's a lot of volatility in the market right now. And all of this volatility... Where's my button? All of this volatility is leading to massive... Oh, 25? No. How about try 17? Massive amounts of fear. A level of 17 extreme fear plaguing the market. Now, their last week is broken. I don't know why it says 68. Clearly, we haven't been at a level of greed for a very long time. They might be talking about last year being at a level of 68. But, Yeah, man, this is the longest fearful situation that we have been in essentially the last two and a half years. And this is the deepest fear that we have been in the last 2.5 years. So there's more fear in the market right now than there was when Bitcoin was at $25,000, 25,000. Like, look at this here. The lowest level of fear in the last 2.5 years, Bitcoin was trading at $26,000 per coin. And the fear was 36. We're at a level of 17 fear. You guys can't see that. What is happening? There. Nope. This one. We're at a level of 17 fear right now. This is the lowest level of fear that we have been at, or the highest level of fear, I guess, lowest level on the Fear and Greed Index that we have been at since the bear market, right, of 2021. This is crazy how much fear is plaguing the market right now. And in my opinion, this level of fear is going to lead to one of the best buying opportunities that we have seen, because these prices, when they recover and when greed returns, we are going to see a thriving industry. The only question that I don't know the answer to is how long? How low? When does the fear end? I don't know that answer. If I did, we would all be able to time the bottom perfectly. But unfortunately, I don't know the answer. So instead, we just got to buy. We just got to go out there. We got to be willing to accumulate. We got to be willing to deal with the current fear. Where Farmy? Good question. Not as low as Molinado. Gosh, dude, look at that volume. That volume is terrible. Wow. There's like 6 trades a day that take place on Farmy, man. Farmy, all-time low, $1.60 after the recent 1 for 12 reverse split, sitting at $1.50 right now. 1 for 12. This bad boy would have been back down to like 10 cents if it didn't split back here. It would be currently sitting at about a penny right now. Wow. Or lower. It could be sitting even lower than a penny. Yeah, there was another one right here. 25 times 8, 200 times 12. It's like a 1 for 2,000 split from back in 2021 when I had it. Wow, man. It's terrible. Farmy, terrible. Bitcoin bouncing back up, man. Going from 77,777. I told you I was the jackpot. Back up now to 78.3. We want gains. Hey, listen, at the least, we're going to get some nice volatility in here. At the least, you're going to see some traders having some pretty nice action. At the most, man, we bottom and begin moving higher. At the most, these tariffs start working. At the most, we've got economic prosperity. At the most, we've got America #1. And at the least, we deal with some losses for a little while, and then we go back up. Someone farts and there's fear. Smell mostly. Yeah, Moji. And you know what? You're right though. I know it's like weird to say somebody farts and there's fear. Well, dude, when the overall sentiment is extreme fear like it is, you're right. It's almost as if anything that happens, no matter what it is, good or bad, perpetuates that fear and makes it worse. Sure, somebody farts, more fear. Yeah, somebody sprays some cologne, more fear. It doesn't matter, man. Anything that takes place when investors are as fearful as they are today is essentially derived as bad news, received as bad news. And it's the same thing in a bull market, right? It's the same thing in a very greedy market, but kind of the opposite side of the fence there. Anything that happens with peak greed, people view as good news, right? And then they buy and buy and buy and buy, and they only want to buy and they only want to buy and move it higher and move it higher, and they're buying at all-time highs, and they're just buying. Same thing's taking place in a fearful situation. Everybody's wanting to sell right now. Good news, bad news, they sell off. Fear will turn back into greed. Greed will raise these prices. and people will make money. But those that sold off, those that give up, they're going to be the ones buying when they get greedy again. So that's why you got to ignore the emotion, man. 2 words for 25 calls. Jeffrey, you got to give me a you got to give me a ticker. Or are you just saying, like, in general, April 25th calls for anything? Go out and buy it. Or April 25th or April of 2025 calls. Is April 25th a Friday? Okay, April 25th is a Friday, so April 25th calls. What are we buying with them, Jeffrey? Let me know. Calls going off sale. Crow with knife, huh? We haven't seen crow with knife in a very long time. We could probably pull that up. Dang, man. Crow with knife is pretty low right now. More like low with knife. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, crow with knife is back down to the levels that it was at when, right before it rallied on the crypto.com listing. So crow with knife back down here to 7 zeros and an 18. 7 zeros and an 18 for crow with knife. Which, I mean, yeah, you're right, dude. It doesn't get much lower than that. Going off sale, it's rising back up a little bit following the overall market, wicking down to 7 zeros and a 16, back up about 10%, 7 zeros and an 18. Hopefully, man, hopefully we bottom, right? I mean, I get it. I can accumulate more. I don't want to, but I can accumulate more if we continue to go, if we continue to go down. But I don't know. I don't want to accumulate more. I just want gains. But I will do it. I will accumulate if you guys make me. Promise. Jen is waiting on Bitcoin to fall. Jen, very, very good. How far? How much further we got to fall before Gen G goes in and buys a full Bitcoin? Let's see. I'm not buying SHIB again until... Is that 800 points per coin? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 800 points per coin. That's 5 zeros, I think. And an 8. 77, 637. Gianluca. Are we talking about what Bitcoin just hit? Or like the bottom? Or what are we talking about? The biggest difference in all of this is the people already bought at higher prices. Majority are in the loss or have taken a loss. People banked on the bull run. Did you guys hear my cat just like dive bomb into the closet? Yeah, you're right, man. You're right, Marlon. In the way that I look at that, okay? The way that I look at that, I don't think the bull run is over, right? I think that we might have to wait until all of the tariff dust settles. Fine. This is something interesting. This is something that people are uncertain about because they don't know how it's going to play out. But this is going to be a terrible example, right? This is going to be a terrible example. But imagine being able to buy stocks. Imagine being able to buy companies back in the 30s. Okay? Imagine being able to buy companies back in the Great Depression. And I'm not saying that we're going into a depression, right? What I'm saying is, you know, people look at these times throughout history as the end of the world. They look at these declines in prices and think that this is the end. We're on the brink of collapse. We will never recover from this. Now, would you be happy if you owned any company, any asset at 1930s prices? Of course you're going to say yes. You would be happy about that. If you look at any of the declines throughout history, you know, you've got the flash crashes, you've got the dot-com bubbles, you've got the real estate collapse, you've got the C-word lockdowns of 2020, You've got all of these occurrences. Which one of them would you not wanted to have bought through? Which one of those would you have not wanted to accumulate during? There's not a single instance where you would not have wanted to accumulate. Right. There's so many negatives in that sentence there. I got to make sure I got it right. There's not a single instance where you would say, oh, I wouldn't have bought there. You shouldn't have bought there. Every single thing that we have gone through, we have come out the other side with massive gains. Look, and I don't know how these tariffs are going to play out. If they play out the way they're supposed to, we really could be living on the brink of a golden age. If it really does, like it caused some sort of an economic war, okay, man, it didn't play out the way people wanted it to, and it results in a very tough time. But guess what happens afterwards? Crazy gains. So, dude, very fortunate, right? It's very unfortunate. My YouTube views and, revenue and all of that stuff is the lowest it's ever been. So, in that regard, it is a very tough time. I'm making less money in terms of posting videos and producing content and all of that stuff than I ever have before. That part is difficult. I feel that part. Luckily, I have some money that I can go out and I can accumulate these assets with. And that is exactly what I'm doing. I am choosing to believe that we will see growth. Not because I blindly want it, but because every single time throughout history, we have gone on to prosper. So I'm not afraid, man. I don't even know who I was answering in that now. Oh, Marlin. I think I got pulled on a tangent about Marlin. But I wanted to say, this is a perfect example, man. You are right. People already bought at higher prices. That shows you that they are willing to own these assets at prices, and they're willing to buy these assets at prices higher than they currently are. They're just afraid to do it right now. They're afraid to buy low. They only ever want to buy high. So we already know the playbook, man. We already know they're willing to pay higher prices for this stuff. You just have to be the one that's willing to pay lower prices for it. To me, that sounds pretty easy, dude. If I knew somebody was willing to pay a higher price for anything, of course I would buy it at a lower price. Let's see. I get, but don't get tariffs. Countries been squeezing the U.S. for years with their own tariffs. Now the U.S. counters and they raise theirs even more to compensate so they don't lose their squeeze. Yeah. I mean, that's I think you do get it, Moji. I think you do get it. And a lot of people, this is the part that I don't get, right? A lot of people want the U.S. to be squeezed. A lot of people want the United States to be squeezed. And that part I don't get, man. I really don't. I get it. They don't want the stock market to go down. I get it that they don't want it to be a fearful situation and all of that. But I don't get how they want the U.S. to continue being squeezed. That part's kind of weird to me. I'm still buying Shiba Inu Coin. I feel like people want to buy just under 1,000, true. But since so many do, I don't want it to stay there long. Probably just a quick wick down if it ever happens. Yeah, and you know what? Crypto Muser, man, I agree with you in the regard that Shiba Inu Coin could come back down to 1,000. We just saw it hit 1,000 when early this morning, like 1 o'clock in the morning. It was 1,030 points per coin. And it will follow Bitcoin, right? So far, Bitcoin has maintained its historical accuracy. It's not fallen below the mid-60s. Mid-60s is the lowest that Bitcoin should hit, considering it's never fallen below an election week low. If that pattern remains true, then we're still doing okay. But if Bitcoin falls, right? If Bitcoin comes down to $50,000, $40,000, $30,000 again, Shiba Inu Coin is going to follow right along. People will be selling off as Bitcoin goes down. And the same people, okay, this is the crazy part. Let's say Bitcoin did fall to $30,000. The same people that when Bitcoin was at $108,000, $109,000, The same people that said, man, if Bitcoin ever hits 100,000 again, I'm going to be loading up. Man, if Bitcoin ever hits 90,000 again, I'm going to be loading up. Dude, those people aren't even buying now, right? They're too afraid to buy now. So the same people that have told themselves, if I had a time machine, I'd go back and buy 10 Bitcoin at $30,000. No, they won't. They're going to be too afraid to do so because of the emotion that's associated with the decline in price. They can't see beyond tomorrow. They can only see today. And today, you're seeing declines. So I'm telling you, man, the fear really messes with people's minds. Let's see. Clay, could agree more. Excellent. Giovanni, my man. Good deal. Let's say, Clay, can I pay you in honorarium coins? Yes. Yes, I will accept all of the honorarium tokens that are out there. And appreciate you for paying me in an honorarium. I like that, man. I like that a lot. Let's see. Over 50 countries already came to the table on tariffs. Yeah, I saw that, man. 50 countries coming to the negotiating table. There was like 4 or 5. Taiwan, Cambodia, some of the other countries already saying, all right, dude, let's go 0 for 0 or whatever. Let's just drop all this nonsense. And I do believe, right? I believe that this is going to sound bad, but I don't mean it in a bad way. Those are the less important countries. Those are the less important sort of negotiations to take place. There's no way that Cambodia is going to be able to hang with the United States when it comes to tariffs. Now, I do believe, okay, that China, I do believe that these European countries, I believe that they have not the negotiating power, but the staying power to kind of hold out and see how far, who's going to break first. And that's an interesting strategy because I don't know if anybody necessarily wins in that situation, but I truly do believe that the United States could essentially be stretched or bent or whatever you want to call it just as long and probably longer than China can. I believe that China can bend and stretch and abuse their tariff power just as long, if not longer, than the United States can. So it is a very interesting situation, right? Because the idea, like these countries have seen, is to renegotiate the trade deals through these tariffs. Some of them are already starting to do so. Some of them are essentially retaliating themselves simply for receiving a reciprocal tariff. They're retaliating the retaliation. It's kind of weird, but the larger countries, right, are the ones that are essentially more important in this situation. China and Europe and a lot of the other big players out there. Is it fair to countries like Cambodia? No, they don't stand a chance. But is it fair that they impose ridiculous tariffs on the United States in the first place? I don't know. I would probably say no. But I don't think that they're necessarily the target, right? They're just kind of caught in the crossfire, and they're already saying, all right, man, let's work something out here, which I think is the smartest thing for anybody to do, right? We can see how far the U.S. people, the American citizens, are going to bend. We can see how far the Chinese citizens are going to bend. Why does it have to be a match of who can bend the furthest before they snap? I mean, it shouldn't. These countries should be like, okay, well, clearly, we can see that this is going to go one of two ways, right? We're both going to bend until one of us breaks, or we could just renegotiate what's going on right now, and neither one of us have to bend. I would choose to renegotiate right now so we don't see who bends and breaks first. Why does somebody have to break? Let's see. Best move I ever made was buying Bitcoin at 16.1. Wish I had bought more. Yeah, Moji, man. Absolutely. Excellent decision. And I believe people are going to be saying the same. I believe if you bought Bitcoin today, whether you bought, $10,000 worth or $1 worth or, one full Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin, whatever it is, I believe one day you will be saying that was one of the best decisions that you've ever made. Clearly, Bitcoin can come down lower in the meantime. right? So sure, if you bought your Bitcoin today at 77,000, maybe next week, if all of this crap is going on and everybody's fearful and all of that, maybe you could have bought Bitcoin at 67,000 instead of 77,000. But are we going to be splitting hairs one day when Bitcoin is trading at $250,000, at $500,000? Are you going to be splitting hairs then on whether or not you save 10% on your Bitcoin? You might be, well, I could have got it at 66, so I kind of kick myself for that. Sure. But, dude, it's the same deal. If you would have bought Bitcoin, if I would have bought Bitcoin when I was first looking at it and highly considering it, at $300-$400 a coin, it's dumb because at the time you think, dude, what an idiot would I be if I bought Bitcoin for $400 and then it drops down to $300. I'd be a fool to buy Bitcoin for $400. Yeah, of course you would. You'd be an idiot for buying Bitcoin at $400 a coin. That's what you'd be, an idiot. Be saying the same thing 10, 20 years from now. Thanks, Clay, for answering, which I didn't even hear because I had to leave for a minute. We'll just watch again after the stream. Chris, I appreciate you, man. That's fine. Make sure you get your coworker unstuck. Luca Tony, man. I haven't seen you in here in a very long time. What's up, legend? All this shall pass. We will have the biggest year ever. Not financial advice. Nothing's ever financial advice, man. Appreciate you on that. We will have a very good year. Right? Whether that year is 2025 or 2026, we're going to have a very good year. And I'm willing to accumulate, man. I'm willing to live through all this nonsense. I'm willing to push through, and I'm willing to face the fear. I'm here, man. I'm here. We're going to see. We're going to play this out. China is no longer known as that name. It is now known as Western Taiwan. All right. Very good. Jason. Giovanni, 30 months of bro. Giovanni says, China will submit. I'm sure of it. Look, everybody's gonna submit, right? This entire idea, right? And truthfully, I don't know if Trump is essentially too proud to say that he submitted or whatever, but all of this is to renegotiate the trade terms. All of this is for the U.S. to no longer essentially be taken advantage of in terms of who we bankroll and where the money goes. That's all this is, right? This is not some sort of global extortion or anything like that. It's the exact opposite. It's for the U.S. to stop being extorted. And you're allowed to settle. You're allowed to renegotiate, right? Whether that means and I don't know what the exact numbers are right now. So I just know China came up with 30% retaliatory tariffs or something, and then they're considering it upping 50% more. I see a couple of things on X, but let's just say that China had 50% tariffs on U.S. goods. Okay, so we added 25% tariffs. That doesn't mean it's a loss, right? If we simply renegotiate and we get the Chinese tariffs down to 25% or 20% instead of the 50% that they're currently at. It's simply to level the playing field a little bit. Dude, clearly if China has 10% less tariffs or 20% or 30% less tariffs, or if they drop their tariffs in half, it's not going to ruin their economy. How much are we really exporting to China in the first place? We're not gonna increase exports to China simply because they lower their tariffs. So I truly this is just a negotiations game. That's all this is. And you can't be too stubborn to negotiate. So I think that they will submit, yes. But at the same time, I don't think that it's going to be zero tariffs across the board for any country that does any business whatsoever. It's simply going to be better terms. And what's wrong with better terms? There's a situation where everybody wins, and there's a situation where everybody loses. I would rather have the situation where everybody wins. China's buying influence in the small third world, not important countries. True, man. True. Fortunately for us, the United States already has influence in those countries. But you're right, dude. You're right. And it's all... I guess that, you and I, we look at the acquisition of assets. That's how we gain our power. That's how we gain our wealth and so on. We look at the acquisition of assets. Whether we can accumulate during times of fear, buying stocks, buying crypto, buying real estate, whatever it is that you buy. But countries, they need influence. They need power. Their acquisition isn't necessarily for wealth. Their acquisition is power. And yeah, Chris is right, man. China trying to buy their influence in those small, non-important countries. And I don't mean that with disrespect, right? When I say small, non-important, clearly every country is important. But when you're talking about, just global size and importance in global trade, there is a drastic difference in a little very unknown country versus the United States or China or these other big players out there. But you're right, man. It's a game of power acquisition, not a game of wealth acquisition. Thanks, Legend. Luke Tony, absolutely, man. I'm not here often, but in here in spirit. Luke Tony, facts on that, man. I really am glad to see that you still have that green name, man. I love it. 42 months, absolutely incredible and beyond appreciative. But the question is, which AI companies to buy? That is a very good question. Very good. Dude, I tell you, retail companies, I don't think we should be buying brick and mortar retail companies. I don't think you should be buying brick and mortar retail companies. You drive down the road, and I'm sure it's the same for all of you guys. You drive down the road, everything is closing. Everything has a for sale sign in the building. All of these retail stores are closing up shop and hanging it up. AI companies, yes. Digital assets. I don't see retail thriving in terms of like brick and mortar retail stores, but AI companies, computing companies, digital companies, I think metaverse companies, all of this stuff could be the future. So Giovanni's right. I just don't know the answer to which AI companies to buy. Been watching too. One gonna be the next Amazon. You guys are right, man, and probably not just one, right? I'm sure there's gonna be multiple that rip up in value, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50x over the next decade. Look, I don't know. Like you mentioned companies like McDonald's, right? McDonald's, brick and mortar. You got to go eat somewhere. But does McDonald's stick around? Do all of these fast food restaurants stick around? I don't know the answer to that because you look at a lot of them, man. Look at how many Pizza Huts have closed. Look at how many of these other restaurants are going under. You see their buildings. You see their empty buildings, and they just didn't make it. So it is a very difficult situation, but I think a lot of the money is going to flow out of the brick and mortar retail, as it is already doing, and into these digital asset companies. So, yeah, dude, AI, very strong future, in my opinion, in AI companies. I see the AI that Elon uses for his factories, but don't see it in the stock market. Yeah, Giovanni, and I'm sure that a lot of that stuff is still private. And that's the unfortunate part, right? Because a lot of these private enterprises and all these private companies, by the time they go public, by the time you and I are allowed to buy them, they're $5 billion companies. But when people are able to invest in them while they're still private, they're $50 million companies, right? And of course, by the time they go out there and they have their $50 million sale during their private rounds, and they finally go public, these guys have gone out there and 100x their money. They've gone out there and 1,000x their money because they took it from a $50 million corporation to a $50 billion corporation. And then the retail is able to get in. And sure, you can still make money if it goes to a $500 billion valuation, but then you're 10xing, and all these other guys have 10,000x'd their money. I'm not trying to invest in the company that builds the brick building. I'm wanting whoever owns the building really make money off of all of them. Yeah, Chris, man, that's interesting. if you're looking at something like that, you could go and you could invest in different REITs, man, because these buildings, a lot of them will stay around and stick around, but that's kind of taking a McDonald's approach to it, right? It's kind of taking a crap. What was the guy's name that bought McDonald's out? I forget from the movie The Founder, man. You're trying to take advantage of his strategy right there. Vision AI is not for sale in the stock market. Yeah, Giovanni, I don't know, and I don't know any like private equities that you could get into that would allow you exposure to these AI companies before they go public. I guess one of the ways that you might be able to do that is start looking at those special purpose acquisition companies, those SPACs that trade at $10 a share, and maybe see which ones are considering acquiring AI companies. Because if you go out there and grab a SPAC at $10, they could acquire an AI company, and they could go from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 very quickly. And then the market, of course, is going to revalue the situation and figure out what it's worth. But that could be one of the ways to get into an AI company before it goes public, is just by buying the SPAC and then waiting to see which company they acquire. I see AI as a feature adding value to other products. Yeah, Jeffrey, man, that is very similar. So AI technology can add a value to, self-driving cars. That's AI technology right there. So you've got the cars, artificial intelligence makes those cars more intelligent. I don't see AI like living on its own and running on its own, but you are right. But the thing is, somebody writes the software, somebody creates the intelligence that adds the value, and you can invest in that value and make some money in it. Newsmax coming back to Earth, quite possibly. NMAX sure did. Still way over IPO, though. Woo! $14 to $265. 20x gains in 2 days. Back down to $50 right now. After being at 14. Holy smokes, man. I didn't even know that it was ripping like that. That is crazy. Wow. 20x gains. Wish I would have had that. There's the guy. Yes, Jeffrey. I was just saying it as wanting a bigger fish metaphor. Well, you got the bigger fish, man. You got that croc metaphor right there. That's what you got. Let's see. Like how people would look at Google, but Google has a parent company that no normal person has heard of. Alphabet? Is that what we're talking about? Can soon recover any. Austin, yes, but what is soon? Is it a stock or crypto? No. No. they raised $5 million, right? They had some nice gains here, moving from 20 cents to 50 cents, and then they ripped the crap out of their investors by issuing $5 million worth of shares. Okay, so I don't even know what this company is, but this company is the exact same thing as Molinado, Farmy, and so on. So all these guys do, they don't go out there and actually run a business. They go out there and they sell their shares to keep paying themselves to stay in business. So they milk their shareholders, man. Even if this does come back up, you might make some gains from 3 cents to 10 cents or something. But as soon as it moves up, they're going to rip you again. So this looks very enticing that you could potentially make 10x gains just to get back up to where it was yesterday. But any company like this is going to continue ripping you and ripping you and ripping you. They're going to reverse split, and this company is going to have gone from 3 cents today back up to $3, and then 2 months later they'll be back down at 3 cents. So, no, you're better off buying a rug pull. You just go buy a crypto called rug pull, and you'll be better off there. Yeah, it's just, and look, Austin, if you already own it, the only reason I say that, man, right? I owned and I lost a ton of money in Farmy, and I've watched a lot of people lose a lot of money in Molinado. So it's the same playbook over and over. Companies like that are just serial scammers. They're terrible, terrible people that run those companies, and they should not be in business. So I've seen it way too many times, and it's very unfortunate if you already own it. It's just, it is. But it is 1 o'clock. We're going to get your names in the chat right now. We're going to do some shout-outs, and we're going to watch some big green lines on the screen. Hopefully those green lines continue on, and we see some nice gains throughout the day today. We got shout-outs going to Luca Tony, man. Thank you very much for being in here. Giovanni, see you later. Giovanni, Moji, Giovanni, Chris, have a great one. Chris, Giovanni, Jeffrey, Moji, Gorilla, Joseph, Chris, Jeffrey, Genji, Chris, Austin, and very sorry, man. I am if you lost money on that. I don't mean to be like blunt or rude or anything. Moji, see you later. Chris, Austin, Crypto Muser, Genji, SD, see you later. Jason, DD214, all of you guys. You know what time it is, Joseph. You want to say it with me? Say it with me. Till the next time, new foe. Hope that each and every one of you have an awesome day.